Welcome to the news on the AM show. In our very first story, a decision by the Speaker of Parliament to refer 3 members of Parliament to the Privileges Committee for absenting themselves for 15 consecutive sittings without permission has drawn the opposition of the minority who are set to challenge the referral of the Speaker. The 3 MPs, Dormi Kwabenye, Sarah Adjoasafo, Asen Central's Kennedy Ejapong, and Ayawaso Central's MP Henry Kwate, all members of the governing New Patriotic Party, will lose their seats if they do not provide a reasonable explanation to the Privileges Committee, which has 2 weeks after the Easter break to present their report. Here's Speaker Alban Bagman on the floor on Tuesday.
The first is Honorable Sarah Adjoasafo. The second is Honorable Henry Kwate. And the third is Honorable Kennedy Ohene Ajapong. Consequently, as is my understanding of the provisions of Article 97(1)(c) and Order 16(1) of the Standing Orders of Parliament, and the decision of the Court of Appeal in the case of Professor Stephen Kweku Asare and the Attorney General and 3 others, I hereby refer the said honorable members to the Committee of Privileges for consideration and report to the House. Since today is the last sitting day of the meeting, I refer it to the committee, and I expect that the committee will submit its report 2 weeks after the House reconvenes.
Minority Chief Whip Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak says his side will challenge the referral.
So, my belief is that if it's not a grand scheme?
Your statement. Your statement is rightly placed on our rules. Mr. Speaker, where we disagree with you is your conclusion. Mr. Speaker, I want to make reference.
What did you say? Where we disagree with
where
you?
I disagree with you is your conclusion. Mr. Speaker, I make reference to our Standing Order 76, and with your permission, I read. 76(1). Every application to Parliament shall, and I think the word there is shall, be in the form of a petition. And every petition must be presented by a member of Parliament, who shall be responsible for the observance of the rules contained in Appendix A. Mr. Speaker, I heard you said, you yourself alluded to the fact that members of Parliament could raise matter that could be referred to privileges, and civil society could equally do same. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect to your office, I disagree with you vehemently when you, Mr. Speaker, want to do that stuff. Because it has to be a member of Parliament who has to do that according to our rules. And Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Member, read the standing order again.
Mr. Speaker, we'll be grateful to listen.
Read the standing order again.
Mr. Speaker, it will be good to listen to me. When I'm done, you have the privilege to make your
Minority Chief Whip,
Mr. Speaker, you have to first
read the standing orders again.
Mr. Speaker, I have read what I want to read, and have stopped where I want to stop.
Honorable Member,
fair you listen to me, and when you hear me,
will you
Mr.
resume
Speaker,
your
you have to
seat?
hear me first.
Will you resume your seat?
Mr. Speaker, you have to hear me first.
Will you resume your seat?
Mr. Speaker, we heard you in silence. Please, no, leader, no. Mr. Speaker, we heard you in silence. Mr. Speaker, it is only fair that you hear us, and when we are done, after the ruling and the decision to be taken, Mr. Speaker, is absolutely yours. But to listen to us, Mr. Speaker, you must listen to us. And Mr. Speaker, when you are making reference to the ruling of the appeals court, Mr. Speaker, the interesting thing that you left out, and I draw your attention to this, is that when that appeals court made that ruling, it concluded with this. After the court has said that the seat will be declared automatically, it went ahead to say that under the 1992 Constitution, however, it is the High Court which can declare a member of Parliament seat as vacant. without providing any reasons or legal basis for the assertion. More particularly, when the provisions in question do not either explicitly or impliedly rope in the High Court. This is what the appeals court did. So, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, we agree you made a statement, but your conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the danger, colleagues, as we sit in this chamber, is this. If we allow speakers to take petition from outsiders, and so more too, with petition from outsiders, to refer members of parliament to privileges.
From the floor of Parliament, we talk about a research conducted by the International Climate Adaptation Center on Ghana showing that as a result of carbon emissions, 5 of the country's top power plants are threatened and could have an impact on 16.3 million people in the country. The research also revealed that should any of the 5 top power plants suffer from flooding, some 3.9 million people in the country will not be able to have access to electricity. Deputy Energy Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam made the disclosure at WA during a regional forum held on the National Energy Transition Plan. Correspondent Rafiq Salam was there and now reports.
The plant, Salacia debilis, also known as Hamachrebane, is a woody climber with green mamba because of.
Organized by the Ministry of Energy, the regional consultative fora are being held at a time when it is critical for the country to reduce emission from production and use of energy by replacing high emission fuels, particularly fossils, with sustainable fuels such as renewable energy. The forum therefore held in the Upper West region sought to solicit stakeholders' input in the implementation of a harmonious national energy policy that is in tune with the Paris Accord, which aims at achieving a net zero carbon emission. Standing in for Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Perempe was one of his deputies, Dr. Amin Adam, who painted a gloomy picture for the country if adequate steps are not taken to reverse the danger posed by the carbon emissions.
And so because of emissions, carbon emissions, our top 5 power plants that are threatened will affect 16.3 million people. Because we have lost our forest cover, the wind that comes to these areas are violent winds. And they can pull some of our transmission lines down. And when that happens, we are in trouble. We can't supply power. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there are top 5 substations in Ghana. If we have floods affecting each of them, we will not be able to transmit power to 3.9 million Ghanaians. When it comes to water, increased drought threatens future energy availability to over 300,000 people in Wa East, Banda, Sisala West, Laura, and Wa West. This is part of the country here, the region in which we are. So I wanted to let you know that we are not safe.
Dr. Amin, however, noted that the country stands to gain based on the opportunities that are available if it is able to adapt the National Energy Transition Plan.
With the electric vehicles that are coming, yes, some jobs will be created. Some jobs will be created. We will have to build charging stations across the country. Some people will get business to do, and they will employ people to be in charge of the charging stations, isn't it? Also, we are talking about renewable energy. Let's do more renewable energy. It will bring renewable energy jobs. We call them green jobs.
Transport Minister, in a speech read on his behalf by his deputy Hassan Tampuli, pledged a commitment of the ministry to the promotion of a sustainable and environmentally responsive system, noting that it is one of the most urgent and critical measures that can guarantee a net zero future.
Now, a local plant, Salacia debilis, known in Akan as Hama Trebing, has been used locally to treat malaria. Scientists at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have affirmed its effectiveness against the deadly disease with the discovery of previously unknown substances that have shown potential in eliminating the parasite. There's more in this report.
The plant, Salacia debilis, also known as Hama Trebing, is a woody climber. Trebing in Akan refers to the green mamba because of its ability to wrap around plants. This plant for centuries has been used to treat malaria.
Yes, Prof.
The scientists, led by PhD student Michael Connie, set out to investigate the scientific basis of its actions.
We have some plants that are ethnomedically or locally used for the treatment of so many ailments and diseases in Ghana. However, we don't have a lot of scientific backing or scientific information to support their use in the local settings. So one of the main reasons why I decided to embark on this project is to be able to establish or set out some scientific basis for the use of these plants locally, and then also be able to come up with scaffolds or compounds that can be further developed into drug candidates that can help with the ongoing issues with malaria.
The work, supervised by Dr. Lawrence Shenning-Hambokwe of the Department of Chemistry and Dr. Edmund Ekwaji of the Department of Pharmacognosy, found that extracts of Salacia debilis was able to kill malaria parasites. They isolated 3 additional substances from Salacia debilis which had this ability.
So in the investigation, I was able to discover or find that Salacia debilis is able to kill Plasmodium parasites when you're using both in vivo and in vitro assays, or when you're testing it in, in a test tube or in a living organism, which means that the local plants indeed have the ability to kill Plasmodium parasites. And then again, I was also able to isolate 3 compounds from the Salacia debilis or the plants that still have the antiplasmodial activity. So the substances that I was able to isolate from Salacia debilis have never been reported in scientific literature at all. It is the first time that they are being reported in literature, which means that they are novel. Now the interesting thing about novel compounds is the fact that they may have unique modes of actions, and they may ultimately come out as the next anti-malaria drug that can come on the market.
The scientists would be delighted to see other Ghanaian researchers pick up on our local plants and investigate them. Reporting for JoyNews, Dr. Netta Pashram.
Now imagine having to build your own community school for your ward to attend, a basic amenity that must be provided by the government. This is the plight of residents at Kratchikrom in the Ekwimamponia district of the Ashanti region. Members of the community set aside a day to have a communal labor to patch the bamboo framework of classroom structures with mud. There is more in this report.
Kratchikrom DA Basic School, established in 2002, has since been the only basic educational facility for people in their formative years in the community. The school, for the past 20 years, struggles with infrastructural development and study items for effective teaching and learning. Structures at the school, including classrooms, have been developed from mud by the residents of this community. Simon Abwaji is the head teacher of Kratchikrom DA.
The major challenge that we face here is infrastructure development. That's classrooms and then the dual desks and then the mono for the school children. That's a major challenge that we face here.
The pupils, numbering about 358, are sheltered in this makeshift clay structure with inadequate desks to study. Some pupils are compelled to carry from home their chairs to school. The ailing conditions at the school and community have shied away many teachers.
For instance, when I was posted here, I was very, very disturbed. So the same thing applies to some of the teachers. Sometimes when they are posted here, when they look at the structure, they will go and they will not return again.
Kratchikrum, which literally translates as the town of an erudite, may not have any of its pupils live to become what the name of this town depicts, as students of this school do not have access to quality education. But for the fortunate intervention of the Seventh-day Adventist Youth Association, these kids may have a brighter tomorrow. The association, in celebration of the Global Youth Day, donated assorted educational items worth 23,000 Ghana cedis to the school. These included uniforms and stationery to support pupils in this community. Samuel Asante is the president of the Seventh-day Adventist Youth Central Conference.
We were introduced to this town by a teacher who had worked in this area but now works in Kumasi. She's called Rhoda Asamwenchi. She drew our attention to this community and invited us to come and survey the area and see whether we could extend love to impoverished community. And we realized that this basic school lacked a lot of things.
For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright Kweku reporting.
Let's stay on education. And basic schools in Seshivioso are faced with challenges in literacy and computing. These schools feel removed from the digital economy, which the ICT curriculum should be preparing them for. There are little resources to aid the teaching and learning of ICT. The Otumfuo Osei Foundation aims at bridging these digital gaps among students. There is more in this report.
Schools in Seshivioso lack funds to acquire the necessary hardware and software facilities for computing. Additionally, there is no trained manpower in the use of ICT in schools. To promote STEM education, the Otumfuo Osei II Foundation is creating access in the most exciting ways of literacy and learning of ICT in communities. Professor Oheneba Boachie J. Wahine II is Otumfuo Hiahine and the board chairman of the Otumfuo Osei II Foundation.
So these students most of them, I believe, have never been exposed to the computers. So they've been taught how to use the keyboard, how to type, and also they've been provided with several books that they've been taught how to read. And so this is a program that is encouraging reading from its beginning, because reading is the essence of all education.
Many pupils in the community have shown enthusiasm in the learning of ICT. Their skills may be good enough as they are living in rural areas. However, initiatives can be made to improve upon their skills and generate more interest in learning.
On the ICT side, they taught us how we can use the mouse and how we can lay our 10 fingers on the keyboard while we are typing. And also, they taught us how we can launch the Microsoft Excel and how we can type our names or keep a record in Microsoft Excel. And they also taught us how we can read fast and the tonations we should do when reading.
We learned about Mavid, Recon, Microsoft Excel, and when we went to the reading class, they taught us how to arrange books on the shelves and how to remove it. And we should study something when we are reading, punctuation marks, voice we are using.
The Otumfuo Osei II Foundation promised to set up a library in the community for reading and ICT learning to be fully utilized.
Or at least we'll be able to establish a center whereby a library can be established for several institutions in the community to have periodic visits to continue with the program that they've been undertaking through.
With this initiative, students will not be left behind in terms of technological advancement. The gaps of digital divide between rural and urban schools will gradually be bridged. Mona Lisa Frimpon reporting.
And on the back of that report, we wrap the AM News. Up next, the news review. Stay. Well, here we are. Thank you for staying with us. We get into the newspapers with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, a political scientist. Doc, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Ben.
Let's start quickly, Doc, with Parliament and goings on there. It appears now it's not just the majority side that has taken up issue with the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman. Now his own side, so to speak, is taking issue with him on different fronts. How do you react to that? Yesterday we had Chief Whip Muntaka, engaging him in what some people call an unparliamentary, exchange. How do you react? We've had that. We've had the incident to do with the e-levy and all of that. And now it appears within the last few days, within the last few weeks, the minority is also seeming to be on edge in terms of the speaker. What is your quick reaction to these developments?
Good morning, Ben, once again, and good morning to your viewers. For me, if everything goes on as planned by any of members of the parliament that we have today, then I think it's a fair description of what democracy want us to have. If that engagement is in line with the rules of the game and is pointing to a certain problem that they want to cure, why not? After all, the speaker can be challenged if there is evidence to do so. So I don't see it as a problem, unless, of course, there is a real problem that there's no basis for that type of banter. But if there is basis for it, why not? It deepens parliamentary practice and also ensures that the institutions become robust, and then we are able to work with those institutions. It also tells you that the speaker want to assert his authority and then want to be neutral as possible. And that is why you see sometimes one of the groups will not be very comfortable with his decision, and another time the other group will not be comfortable. For me, I don't see anything wrong with it, unless, of course, there is something that we can point to that, frowns upon the rules of the game. Apart from that, I am cool with that. All right.
We also have the majority leader talking about two things. Let's start with the first one. He's been talking about the acrimonious relationship between leadership of Parliament. And he says somehow they must find a way of resolving that. How do you think they can do that?
I have said it time and again that this problem needs to be cured, right? Because in Parliament, we work based on consensus. So I don't see why the two groups can be in perpetual antagonism. No. So they can do that. All the time when we have problems, the leadership, they rise up to the occasion. They will sit, talk, and iron out their differences. And for me, they will be able to move on. There have been difficult times before, and Parliament was able to weather the storm. I don't think it should be a problem for Parliament to do. They should begin to extend a hand to each group, and then they will take it from there. After all, let us remember that the two groups want to serve this country. How do you serve this country and you yourself, the whole house is divided, and that will not gel well for democracy that we want to nurture. So I think this is not out of reach of Parliament. Parliament can do that. They've done it time and again. And this one, I am sure, I have no doubt in my mind that they will be able to surmount it in no time.
Maybe finally, before we get into the daily graphic, there's also this call. We're debating on it. We're discussing it in respect of our big stories today. I just want to run it by you. The majority leader, Oseiche Mensah Bonsu, and because this is a string of issues, concerning him, I just want us to address them. He says that former President Mahama has been conspicuously absent when it comes to 7 core events at which President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been the key or keynote speaker. He is saying at all these events, former President Mahama has abstained. He has not shown face, so to speak. He's not been present, and that it is a cause for worry. But I've also heard some pundits, political pundits, talk about, for example, when President Mahama won the elections in 2012, and how supposedly former President Kufuor was prevented from even coming out of his residence to attend the event and all of that. I mean, so many things have happened. But that is what the majority leader is saying. Should that be anything that we give prime of place in terms of our national discourse? What is your take on it?
Oh, I believe these are conventions, that rules of convenience that make the system work flexibly. So if for one reason or another, a leader would not be able to attend, it shouldn't be a problem. But if it becomes consistent, then people now begin to raise doubts. I believe that this is a very little issue that should be addressed, but it shouldn't be consistent. If what we are hearing is true, then President Mahama must take steps to address this. But for me, the real issue is how to get parliamentary business on, and then so that MPs will be able to deliver what is in the interest of the people. That is more critical, but I'm not sure there is a problem associated with this. If there are genuine reasons why the ex-president will not be able to attend. But let us remember that it shouldn't be consistent so that people can read meanings to this. This is one of the ephemeral issues.
Let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper. Economic recovery on course, President Akufo-Addo says so. I'm sure you listened to him, Doc, as he interacted with Peter Okwoche of the BBC recently, touting our economic progress and talking about the fact that everywhere across the globe we have had the issue. I mean, every economy has been battered in some way, but it was pointed out to him as well that some economies have fared better even within our sub-region. Having listened to the president, do you get comfort so far, looking at the signs we've seen? We've had some decrements on fuel prices, 15 pesos. Transport unions are still daring us. They say they will increase their fares. The exchange rate is not so bad. I mean, compared to hitting $8, 8 cedis to the dollar just a short while ago. It's now pegged around 7.4, 7.5 and all of that. But from what you've seen so far on the back of the economic reforms that we've brought to bear, are you feeling any positive impact yet?
I must say no. I'm not yet there. But it is my hope and prayer that we get there. Let us remember that the government want to do its best to improve the economic fortunes of this country. There's no doubt about that. But all that they need to do is to double up the effort. They were hoping and praying for that the e-levy will pass. It's passed, and now I expect them to turn things around using the e-levy as they promised. That is not to say that we are not in difficult times. We are. Things are difficult, and I'm sure the president is also not oblivious of this fact. But what they have to do is that having passed the e-levy, it shouldn't give them the license to go back to the old order where there were necessary expenditure, where there were lack of prudence in some of aspect of management of the economy. That should occupy the attention, that yes, they need to stick to whatever program they put on table and then go religiously on that. If they are able to do this, they will be able to up their game. But if they think that, well, now we have e-levy, this is the savior, and that is going to do the magic for us. And for that matter, we want to go to the old order where were unnecessary expenditure, where there were a lot of waste in the system. Then I'm afraid they will not be able to achieve much. The government must remember that there are from now to elections, even though we have some 2 years, but it's still a short time. And let us remember also that the economy needs to be improved, because that is one of the areas of governance that when it hits everybody. And that is why voters in this country always decide on, it's one of the variables voters use in gauging or in making choices during elections, the economy. So it is in the interest of government to improve the economy so as to be able to leave a legacy that whoever is going to succeed the president can stand on. And then people will also see the need to give them mandate if there is the need to do so. So they should not play with these things. The economy is paramount. Other indices of governance also must be addressed and addressed head on if they really want to break the eight. Otherwise, I'm afraid they will be punished during the next election.
Well, a few more stories very quickly from the Daily Graphic newspaper. Dealing with quarry land encroachers, nationwide clampdown begins. That's according to Sector Minister Samuel Abu Jinapo. We're talking about this yesterday, and there's been intimation that if we don't do something about it in some 15 years, we could be importing stones, rocks, and the rest, or granite, if you like. But I want you to address this issue. 3 MPs to face committee for absenteeism, and the 3 of them, Doc Dome Kwabena MP Sarah Adwoa for Ayawaso Central, MP Henry Quartey, who is also Greater Accra Regional Minister, and then we have Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejapong. What do you make of this? Now, it appears the Adwoa situation has roped in others, and interestingly, the majority caucus in Parliament is pushing for this. They stand to lose 3 of their members of Parliament in a very tight Parliament that has every 1 seat counting. And interestingly, very curiously again, you have the minority rather saying no. Most of them, I mean, there are the likes of Okudzato Ablakwa who support the move and say that they should be, called to order and punitive measures, even if they have to lose their seats, that ought to be brought to bear. But you have most of the minority members saying, no, this is not the proper process, even indicting in a way the Speaker of Parliament. Your quick take.
It's an interesting development because, look, first, I'm surprised that Mr. Japong's name is in here because he is always in Parliament. So I don't know what is happening. Parliament must be
but
careful.
per the records, per what we've been told, and it's not one member, I mean, so many members of Parliament have sat here and mentioned his name. In fact, there was another MP whose name was mentioned. That is my curiosity that his name was not in there as well, because initially it was said that 3 other MPs, but now it's 2 that have been mentioned. But if his name has been mentioned time and again, it must mean that there must be some fire to that smoke, isn't it?
Oh, I don't doubt that because always there is a parliamentary record to check these things from. But I'm surprised because he has been taking a swipe at the Madam Adwoa that he's holding the party to ransom and all that. So I'm surprised that his name has come up. But that said, what we can say is that from where I sit, I want to believe that institutions are beginning to work in Parliament. And why am I saying that? You have people who now want to gauge the mood of any parliamentary action using the rules of the game. For me, it is a good story. We are deepening institutions, and of course, by extension, we are deepening democracy. Gone were the days where people would just criticize that, or would just play to the gallery that, this decision is going to kneel to the benefit of us, so we are not going to take critical note of things that are happening. But you see, with time, we have realized that events have begun to take a new turn, and we are getting a crop of MPs who want to do the right thing at the right time. I stand for that. My worry is that sometimes some of these things, if care is not taken and it's not handled properly, it can have a boomerang effect. But I hope and pray that Parliament, as I know it, will continue to stand for what it's in their domain, represents the major interests of our people. I want to see this thing happening more often so as to assure myself that we are in consolidating the democracy of this country, and we are making sure that at the end of the day, all of us will smile.
Doc, to show seriousness that we are actually pursuing the democratic cause without fear or favor, should these MPs, I mean, if it is proven, and that is the law, those are the standing orders, if it is proven that they've absented themselves 15 times continuously, back to back, like we hear they have, should there be by-elections in Dome Kwabena, in Ayawaso Central, in Asin Central? Should that be what happens to show seriousness?
It doesn't lie in the mouth of anybody to say that is what it should happen. The rules are there.
But that is what the rules state. That is what the rules state.
Once you breach them, there are accompanying sanctions. So the Parliament will have no choice than to go according to the rules of the game. Simplicity. That's all.
Right. Let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And technical glitch causes confusion at school placement center in Accra. And we brought you scenes from the Nat Hall yesterday with some students and parents very concerned. We pray things work out for them. But on page 5, Nigerian atheist jailed 24 years for blasphemy. I don't know whether you followed this story. It's been on the BBC and other networks. But Nigerian atheist has been sentenced to 24 years in prison by a high court in the northern state of Kano after being convicted of blaspheming Islam. Mubarak Bala, the 37-year-old president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria, pleaded guilty to all 18 charges and asked for leniency. He has been in detention since 2020. Do you have any reaction to this, Doc?
Yes, I was following the story on BBC Network.
Right.
And I'm surprised, and I'm sure that's the situation of even his lawyers, that after counseling him, he came to court
and he pleaded guilty.
He's guilty to all the charges and all that. My position is that, look, religion is religion. We hold it dear to our hearts, and that if there are things we're going to do to undermine people's faith, we must shy away from this. Because anything that will make society not better or to disrupt the peace of society, obviously people will stand against it. And so we should, in our effort to live in a liberal society, we must be careful not to incur the wrath of people unnecessarily.
Well, and political patronage in Parliament. That's according to the Speaker of Parliament, going back there. And on the back page, Ghana Health Service USAID signed $29.1 million project to improve health outcomes in the north. And that's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's take a quick look at the Daily Guide. And it says Kumasi Shoe Factory designs chic footwear. There's also Lakeside Village French envoy hosts diplomatic dinner. 3 NPP MPs hot, and pictures there of the same MPs about whom we've been speaking. Then there's also Denzel Washington discusses Will Smith's slap. I'm sure you follow a bit of entertainment. How do you feel about that? I mean, it's been quite a while, over a week now or two since that incident happened. But on the back of what Denzel Washington said, that when you're at your highest, that is when the devil comes for you. How would you react to this situation? Maybe lessons in there for all of us, Doc.
Unfortunately, I've not followed the story. If you can give me a gist of this.
So it was at the Oscars, but you do know Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he dished out a slap to the host of the event, Chris Rock, on the back of teasing, making jokes about his wife. It wasn't so much of a huge slap, but of course it was a bit of a buffet on the cheeks of Chris Rock. And the Oscars Academy has come hard against Will Smith. Most people have joked about it. Some have, questioned what he's done. In fact, his latest movie has been taken off the streaming portal Netflix. So a lot of consequences. But we've seen, for example, here, our own parliamentarians exchange blows, so to speak, and practically nothing has happened to them. I don't know. I guess we all can learn lessons out of that situation. That was what I was intimating, Doc.
You see, if you look at societies differ from one another.
Right.
There are places where they want institutions to work. So it doesn't matter the industry you find yourself. You must work according to the rules of the game.
Right.
Once you cross the line, it doesn't matter how popular, how important you have your fingers bent. This is the lesson that we need to learn. Right. That in every civilized society, the rules are there to regulate our conduct. Once you cross it, there will be what? Sanctions. I'm
sure you've heard the Speaker of Parliament talk about Kwesi Nyantakyi and how things have fallen apart a bit after his absence from football, the former GFA boss. But that is what Speaker Bagman has been saying. But some people have said you cannot possibly overlook the fact that his hands were caught he was caught with his fingers in the cookie jar, that he was mired in activity he shouldn't have been found in. Now, the Daily Guide on the back page says, forgive Nyantakyi, bring him back. Bagman begs. That is not exactly what he said. But how do you respond to Bagman, sort of lending support to Kwesi Nyantakyi, when in fact we know what happened in that instance?
I'm surprised that the Speaker, as a lawyer, wants us to have this opinion from his end. Right. Because the issues, as it stands now, Mr. Nyantakyi has been accused of wrongdoing.
Right.
I have not heard his story as in He has appeared before any court, and he has also had his day in court. So as of now, the issue is hanging. We don't know where it is now. So I would prefer that we keep mute and allow the judicial process to take place if there is any process in place at all. Then at the end of the day, we can gauge the direction and the focus. That will give us enough opportunity to interrogate the issue and come out with whatever comments that we want to come out with. Otherwise, you'll be looking at one side of the issue, and that will not be fair to parties, especially the person who did the story and also the person who is accused. I think for now, the dust is still not settled, and I don't know where we are in terms of the legal processes.
Let's look at Republic Press on page 4. No school placement for blind candidates. And days after schools have reopened for first years, some qualified visually impaired students who sat at the BECE are still waiting for the Ghana Education Service and the school placement system to give them their schools of choice. It appears to have affected a lot of those visually impaired students who are yet to be determined, whose schools are yet to be determined, because the authorities have not paid attention to their plight. But another story from Republic Press, e-levy. We're talking about taxing the industry and not the poor. That's what His Excellency the President has been saying. But in effect, if you tax the people, the poor will also be affected. Your quick take on that.
I disagree with the president with respect. Which industry are we taxing? We are taxing individuals as well as the industry. So that one, the president is aware of. The poor people who use this network are going to pay the tax, whether they like it or not. So I'm surprised that the president will say that we are taxing the industry. Which industry is he talking about, Mr. President? The e-levy has, now it has been passed, and then my plea is that let us put the money to effective use so that we don't come back one day and say that, well, there were problems here and there. We should manage the resources very well, because this time around, we are struggling to have resources to run the affairs of the state.
Some quick stories to wrap. The Finder, Dr. Bawumia to speak on economy tomorrow. What are your expectations, Doc? You know the former president, John Dramani Mahama, poked some jokes at the vice president now, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, saying that he had stopped talking about the economy and all of that, and is focusing on digitization and digitalization. The vice president is set to speak tomorrow on the economy. What would your expectations be?
Yeah, to deal with what Mr. Mahama said, it is not wrong for the vice president to talk about things. They are the movers and shakers of our society now. Right. If you want to even engage and ensure that we have good governance, you need the e-services. Every aspect of governance is now going along the lines of what e-services. So for me, you are strengthening the frontiers. But back to the issue of the economy, I am expecting that the vice president would admit that there are difficulties and that Ghanaians are suffering now. And I also expect the vice president to provide some hope for people that all is not lost. And now that, the e-levy is passed, which they said that is going to do everything. Of course, some of us believe that that is not going to be the magic one. But they should also think outside the box and look for other means of financing the affairs of government. It is critical because what you expect to generate, they generate from the e-levy. They can have a reduction in that. So what other alternative do they have? That should occupy the attention of the vice president. And he need to also tell us the state of 1D, 1F, because for me, going forward, that is a game changer, that we need industries where we can get people off the street to go and work there. There, you don't need much skills. You need knowledge, you need strength, and then you are good to go. I also expect that issue of waste and corruption will be addressed head on so that we don't come back and look at it one more time.
Okay, the Finder wraps with 35.8 million Ghana cedis, not enough to rebuild Apiate. Committee chair makes passionate appeal for more donations. And then the BNFT home ownership dream fades as building material prices skyrocket, labor cost up 50%, and housing deficit to widen. Well, that's how we wrap the news review, unless you have any last-minute comments on what I just read, Doc.
Yes, my issue is that I want government to put emphasis on housing. It is a problem that has lived in our society for a long time. We need to make conscious efforts to address it so that workers will breathe a sigh of relief. It is important.
Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us for another morning, and we wish you the very best of the day.
I am grateful.
Right. Well, that's how we wrap up the news review this morning. Up next, sports. Do stay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. We continue our conversation surrounding the FIFA World Cup, and now the president of the country, Nana Akufo-Addo, has spoken about Ghana's chances of qualifying out of a group that has Portugal, Uruguay, and South Korea. According to him, the team will be motivated to progress to the next stage of the competition following Uruguay's decision to deny the West African nation an opportunity of qualifying to the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup in 2013.
I mean, yes, regional friends, brothers, and particularly sweet because it occurred on my birthday. Yes. I'm very old, and so it was a way of lightening up my birthday and allowing me to forget these many years that I've clocked. But it was a great day. Ghanaians all across the country and across the world took a lot of pleasure in it. That that we think that we belong to that competition and to that stage. So it was good that the young men who were playing for us took us across the line. They did very well. It's not very easy to go to the stadium in Abuja and get a result, but they were able to do it.
As you can tell, I'm not smiling too broadly because I'm being Nigerian. It wasn't that sweet for me. But how well do you think the Black Stars will perform once they get to Qatar?
I think they'll perform well. The new coach of Ghana has done a good job, especially in mobilizing some of the younger, if you like, unknown, quote, untried players, but clearly gifted and talented. And I think that these competitions, usually when you go there with people who are hungry to make a name for themselves, to prove themselves, you're probably in a good space.
And do you think they'll be spurred by the fact that in their group they've got Portugal, South Korea, and Uruguay? We all know the history between Ghana and Uruguay in 2010. When they almost made it to the semi-finals.
I have no doubt that it will be a motivating factor. They'll all be very conscious of it and hopefully reverse the results of the 2010 experience.
And talking about the assembly of young players that secured Ghana's qualification to the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, Gideon Mensah is one of them. He has been explaining why he played a centre-back position in the second half of the World Cup playoff against the Super Eagles last week. Speaking to my colleague Oriko Ampofo, he revealed it was a technical decision.
I think it was on Thursday or Wednesday in Kumasi when we were trying to build up, doing the walkthrough and everything. So obviously, like how we played in Kumasi was Jiku, Amate, and Baba coming to the box to make it 3. But at some point we changed, where I had to go back as where Jiku was. Jiku was supposed to be in the middle, and then Amate was supposed to be on the right side. So after the training, I asked him, "Why did you put me here? Am I going to be here like when we have to build up when we're playing with 4?" And then he was like, "No. This is just a backup plan. If they find out that we're going to build up with 4, Baba is going to come to the box, which means you're going to come here and then we're going to have a wing back." And then his reasons was he doesn't want to have 3 center defenders with right foot, because if Nigeria sees this, they're going to push us to the left side where we have no left foot, so it's going to be a problem for us. So obviously, if you saw in the game when I was playing as a centre back, the build-up comes to me, and this is me having a good left foot, so I could just switch the ball to Andy or just chip the ball to Felix. So the main reason was for us just to have balance in the back. So you have right foot, or you have Jiku who is right, you have Amate who is right, and on the left side you have someone who is left. But obviously, if Dennis has the ball and he doesn't even have the left foot, he's already up in the half of the opponent, so it's not too dangerous for us. So the only reason was for me to be on the left side as a left-footed player.
History has always revealed to Ghana about how players pop up to play for the national team anytime they qualify for a FIFA World Cup. There are so many examples, notably the 2010 edition where Kelvin Prince Boateng switched nationality from Germany and played for Ghana in that tournament. Well, assistant coach of the Black Stars, George Boateng, wants players eligible to play for the senior national team to be pursued by the Ghana Football Association to strengthen the 3 times World Cup participants in this year's Mundial.
They are young and we are in transition. The expectations of having to qualify would be higher, I understand that, but we have to try and stay grounded, because World Cup stage is not a stage that you can think of going there and you cannot underestimate any country. It's high level. So I hope that whether it will be us or a new technical team, I hope that they will manage to get some of the players that are eligible to play for the national team on board to make the competition stronger and then give ourselves, Ghana, a better platform, a better team to go to the World Cup and try, I'm using the word try because I'm careful, try to make an amends. Because it's a high level stage with countries that have players of high level. At the moment, everybody's well aware that there are some outstanding players playing in Europe that are capable to play for Ghana, who are eligible to play for Ghana. And I think it's down to the FA, whether to be us once more or the new technical team, to try their hardest to get those players on board. It will help Ghana a lot going forward.
Helping Ghana a lot, that is according to George Boateng, former goalkeeper of the Black Stars, Fatau Dawuda. He was part of the team that played in the 2014 edition in Brazil. He scored on the players not to succumb to the pressure of playing at the higher stage.
Football is now dynamics. It's being played by tactics. In this stage too, you are going to play. You need to play with a clever player. You are going to play against intelligent players. So definitely players must listen to their coaches and play according to the role they will be given to. Well, I don't see pressure to be on them because we are going to play the biggest football events on earth, that's World Cup. Ourselves in the group with Portugal, Uruguay, and then South Korea. I think psychological aspects, Ghana would like to beat Portugal. Ghana would like to beat Uruguay and then South Korea. South Korea, we play them in the warm-up game when we were going to Brazil. We played them in Washington. We beat them 4-0. So that team will hunt them. They will come for revenge. Portugal beat us 2-1 in 2014 Brazil. Ghana will go for revenge. I'm talking about psychological aspect. Uruguay, what Suarez did to us, we need to pay them back. So I think maybe this what will make pressure come to the boys. Like they need to also beat the countries that beat us during the 2014 and 2010 World Cup. But without that, I think there shouldn't be pressure. World Cup, you go there, you enjoy. If you go and play well on the field of play, fans will cheer you up and you enjoy the game. So I'm not sure there should be pressure on the boys. If you have pressure, you know you go under pressure. If they invite you, just tell the coach, I can play. There are a lot of players who can play.
From the Black Stars, let's talk about the Black Princesses. They have also qualified to the FIFA World Cup that will be staged in Costa Rica. Last week, the senior national team, the Black Stars, met the president. And this time around, it was a chance of the Black Princesses to also meet the vice president. And some special promises were made to the team by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who tasked the team to win the trophy. There's more in this report.
Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia has charged the Black Princess to, for the first time after 6 attempts, go beyond the group stage of the FIFA World Cup to be held in Costa Rica in August this year. The team has always been good at qualifying for the Mundial, but consistently falls short of making it past the group stage. Addressing the team at the Jubilee House on Tuesday, Dr. Bawumia congratulated the team and urged them to look beyond the target of making it past the group stage by winning the cup.
You've really, gotten here not just by luck. You've gotten here by a lot of teamwork and a lot of hard work. And you deserve to be in the World Cup. And we are very, very proud of you as a country. So on behalf of His Excellency, the President, I congratulate you on your qualification and your consistency. Of course, now the focus as the Chief of Staff, who knows what the challenges of breaking the glass ceiling are, the first female Chief of Staff in the history of Ghana. Your Chief of Staff has told you, and we are all very, very much in line with her thinking, that your job now is to go and bring the cup. That is a simple message.
Captain of the team, Echa Anastasia, is confident the team has what it takes to win the trophy if the team is given the desired support.
We will go, and as we are going, we are not going there to joke. We are going there and do our best. Yeah.
So you are sure you are going to go beyond the group stage? You can do the local language. You can do the local language. Yeah. So you are confident you are going to go beyond the group stage?
Yeah, I'm confident.
You are confident. What gives you that confidence?
Because
what have you seen in the team that gives you that confidence?
Unity is one, and training is part. Yeah.
But you heard the Vice President and the Chief of Staff. They don't want you to only go beyond the group stage. They want you to go and bring the trophy. Are you sure you can do that?
Yes. We go and do our best. We go and do our best and bring the cup.
You are sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
GFA President Kete Okureku assured the team of his administration's continuous investment in women's football. An investment, he says, are already yielding the desired results.
Your Excellency, what you see here today has been achieved as a result of a conscious effort of investing in the female sport. First, from your government, through the sector ministry, and secondly, from the Football Association and our partners. I'm happy to say that since we took office 2 years ago, we've placed premium emphasis on the development of the female sport, women's football. The result is that we got YEA to invest in the women's game. Can we clap for YEA, please? Decathlon Ghana, also our partners, ZAS, our partners, Woodin, our partners, all believing in the way our Football Association has been operating over the years. And because of this investment, we are beginning to see results also on the pitch.
Now let's take a look at the FA Cup draw that was done yesterday, and we have in the northern sector, Ediana Stars will play King Faisal, Bechim United will play Tamale City. In the southern sector, we have Sky FC come up against Accra Hearts of Oak, and Dreams FC will play Kotoko Royals. These are the teams that have made it to the quarter-final of the competition. Which of these teams makes it to the semi-final, and which of these teams progresses to the grand finale of the competition?
Thank you for staying with us on the AM show, and we bring you, in the next 50 minutes or so, all the talk from Parliament and beyond. Two crucial matters we're going to be looking at. Absenteeism in Parliament, per the standing orders and what they say about being absent 15 times, 15 consecutive times if you like. And there's also the bit about the majority leader criticizing, throwing pot shots at former President John Dramani Mahama. Why? He says he's been noticeably, conspicuously absent when it comes to some events at which the current president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been the keynote speaker. Convention, should the president be held to it? Good political will? Or is it a sign of bad blood? We get into all of those details with our two guests this morning. We have Dr. Kingsley Nyako, who is a member of parliament. He joins us for this discussion. We also have Roxanne Nelson Dafiamako, member of parliament for South Dai. Kingsley Nyako, of course, member of parliament for Kwadaso, joining the conversation. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you. In the course of the show, we'll also be joined by Professor Kwabena Safo Kantanka. He will be also sharing his thoughts as one who follows Parliament keenly. Well, let's get into the conversation now as we talk about your three colleagues who have been put forward. And now there is talk about their being sent to the Privileges Committee and so much talk in that regard. I'll start with you, Roxanne. What do you make of that entire situation? Is it something you are for? I've heard the likes of Okudzeto Ablakwa, saying that is the right thing to do per the standing orders of Parliament and all of that. Are you for it?
Yes, of course. If you recall, MPs have come under a barrage of attacks, particularly regarding punctuality, one, and presence in the chamber to participate in the business of the House. Ostensibly because some do not attend upon the House. Now, our brother Samuel Okudzeto took pains to look through the evidence available. And so as far back as February, he had raised the issue that if others were, as it were, bashing the Honorable Adjo, the former Deputy Majority Leader of the House, and Minister of State in charge of the Ministry of Gender and Children Affairs. She's not alone in that regard, and that there are 2 or 3 other members who are also in that soup. So it became a topical matter. Then some other citizens petitioned Parliament to have that matter investigated. I am aware of about 3 separate petitions from citizens. And so Speaker, faced with the matter, decided that the procedural steps available under the Constitution be sprung into life. And so he, as it were, came to the House by a Speaker's communication, which is also a procedure available to him, to bring the matter to the attention of the House, and consequentially referred it to the appropriate committee, which is the Privileges Committee in question. So the most important thing is the Constitution is very clear. It's not a very simple matter because there are procedures you must follow. You must offer reasons, and the reasons must be reasonable. So a whole evidence is going to be led. And others were of the opinion that given the constitutional provisions, a straightforward matter. I said no, because you see, like he knows. So it's not a straightforward matter? No. It's not as simple as some people Yes, evidence will have to be led to establish that.
Well, what evidence? Okay. What you're looking for is the attendance of members. You look at it, and if for 15 occasions, must it be consecutive?
Yes.
So 15 consecutive occasions, like I've been mentioning.
No, it's 15 sitting days.
15 sitting days.
That's what the Constitution says.
Okay, so it mustn't be consecutive.
Yes.
All right. So 15 sitting days out of the sitting days in an entire
in a
year.
meeting.
In a meeting.
In a meeting. So in a quarter.
Right.
Sort of.
So if in a quarter, and that is substantial then.
Yeah, we have 3 meetings in a year.
Right.
So a meeting averagely has about 12 to 13 weeks.
Of course, you're looking at about, if it's a quarter, then you're looking at about 3 months.
Yes.
So
it has about
approximately 12 to 13, depending on the week balance.
Exactly.
Right.
So if the Constitution says out of the, you know that we sit 4 times in a week. That's how critical it is. So it means that you must have absented yourself out of about 35 sitting days. You must have absented yourself for about 15 days or more, which is practically like half of the sitting hours of Parliament.
Right.
And so that's how the Constitution takes very serious view of that.
So for purposes of education, if a member of Parliament absents himself, let's say, 5 times within meeting 1, another 5 times within meeting 2, another 5 times within meeting 3, that does not qualify.
Yeah.
It must be 15 within 1 meeting.
In fact, if it does 14,
no, just for the sake of clarity.
In fact, if it does 14 in 1 meeting, he escapes it by a shade.
Right, because it's spelled out that it must be 15.
Exactly.
Right. Please go ahead.
Okay, so a committee, which is the Privileges Committee, must go into the matter. So their jurisdiction will have to be invoked. Now, when you invoke their jurisdiction, they have to hold an inquiry. And at that inquiry, audio alteram partem, you must hear the other side. So the member of Parliament in question will have to be invited and be heard, and the issues interrogated. So whoever is the complainant may be relying on the votes and proceedings, which is this green one. But the votes and proceedings is only prima facie. It's rebuttable.
Right.
You understand? Because there are occasions that...
This is just face value.
Exactly.
Go beyond.
Exactly. And that there are days that you'll be on the floor and then you'll be marked absent.
And we've seen that in recent times. In fact, some people who supposedly were not even present, who were assigned.
Yes.
And that has also created...
In fact, it's something that happens every single sitting day. But I think...
Why is that?
No, I will explain. But I think that the last week, what happened became topical because of the nature of the particular business of the House in question. Otherwise, that's why we have correction of votes and proceedings. All these corrections are done every morning. And it's become one of the particular people who corrects the votes of the House. So, Akakpo, I'm saying that when a member is cited or is referred to the Privileges Committee in respect of Article 97(1)(c), he will have to lead evidence. And that evidence will have to be interrogated. And the evidence must be reasonable. That's all the Constitution is saying. So it's a whole inquiry, parliamentary inquiry, into determining whether or not a recommendation can be made for the member to be expelled from the House. The other controversy surrounding the interpretation of 97(1)(c) in question is whether the decision of the committee will be final. But in my humble opinion, no committee of Parliament can make a decision on behalf of Parliament.
Because the Speaker did say that it would go to the committee, the Privileges Committee, and they would have their vote, after which, I mean, if it was for the fact that, or if it pointed to the fact that these people ought to be put forward, then they would be brought to the plenary.
In fact, they will make a recommendation.
Right.
They
would make their decision, but it would come to the plenary.
What they would do is that they will bring a report on the inquiry they must have held. And then the House will debate it and take a decision. That is the procedure.
So the Privileges Committee can say, for example, that their seats should be made vacant, or that
they will
recommend.
They will recommend.
Exactly.
But the House is not bound by that recommendation.
And then it would come to the floor, and you would then debate it and take a vote to decide what exactly.
It could be a voice vote.
But some have said that is not what your standing orders say. As the Speaker has interpreted it, because he has the interpretive power.
Yes.
But some say that it should rest at the Privileges Committee, that what they decide should be final.
Let me establish why those people got it wrong. They say, in case of doubt, these orders shall be interpreted by Mr. Speaker as he deems fit. That's Order 5.
Right. But what does it say specifically when it comes to
hold on,
like this?
Hold on. So when you go to committees, there should be Give me a second to pull.
Okay, so while you find the appropriate, I don't know whether Dr. Nyako would be able to find it ahead of you, but quickly, while he's doing that, Dr. Nyako, what is your initial take on this entire matter, these three MPs being hauled before the Privileges Committee? Muntaka Mubarak, the minority chief whip, has filed a motion to revoke the speaker's,
Not to challenge.
Basically to revoke it. I mean, the bit is whether to challenge or not. It is in the end to revoke.
No, the procedure is if you are aggrieved by the speaker's decision, you file a formal motion to challenge it. It may not result in a revocation. It may not result in a rescission.
But it may.
Yes, but it is not to revoke it. It is to challenge.
So for now, it's a challenge that
exactly.
has been put forward. Okay,
exactly.
so to challenge the speaker's ruling. What is your quick take on that as he looks for the standing orders?
Yeah, 51.
Ben, let me say a very good morning to your revered viewers, my constituents from Kwadaso, and Ghanaians as well. For me, whatever we have to do in our house to prove to the world that we are focused on our mandate. We are there to do our job. We have to be punctual in the house. We have to follow procedures. I'm all for it. So whatever decision that we are taking, we must be guided by procedure. So I don't fault anybody who will raise issue about absenteeism because you are elected to go to the house, not to absent yourself illegally, but to go and perform your assigned functions. And it doesn't mean that you cannot absent yourself. You can do so by seeking permission from Mr. Speaker.
Right.
And for me, that is respectful. You need to respect the position of the Speaker. You can't be in Parliament because of ABC. All of us, I've seen myself, anytime I'm not in the House, I make sure that I fill the form.
So walk us through the procedures, just because you're a member of Parliament, because it's been mentioned that you can be present with permission.
You can be absent with permission.
You can be absent with permission, absent without permission, or of course the other bit would be that you are present. So what are the dynamics to go through?
You are either present or absent with permission or absent.
Right.
Okay, so anytime you enter the chamber of Parliament, you have to go and sign the attendance register. So that is the procedure. So if you have an urgent assignment, maybe in your constituency, or you are indisposed, you can do so via seeking permission. Okay, but there are others who have sent themselves and all that. But for me, Roxanne was right that Honorable Okoneto Ablakwa had raised the issue earlier on, and he put out the names of these three persons. One of the defects that I saw in the House yesterday was the fact that we are not privy with the entire attendance of the 275 members in the House. We should have proceeded from there. Give us that evidence that King Senyako absented himself on this number of days. Now, it seems that we are fixated on these three persons. Is it also possible that others might have absented themselves more than the 15 days but were not captured? We should have given the evidence. Because if you're not careful, then there will be the assumption that might be wrong or right that some people were pursuing a particular agenda, targeting this to a person. So I will be happy if we will be privy to, for me, that is a legitimate call.
Okay, now, even before you go on, and especially as you're talking about the fact that you are not privy to the full details, the full facts of these, let's take a look at these three members of Parliament and their absenteeism. We start with the Asin Central Member of Parliament, Kennedy Ohene Japong. He was present supposedly in 4 out of 28 sittings and was absent without permission on 24 out of the 28 occasions. Of course, if you add the 24 to the 4, you get the complete 28 meetings in that meeting, so to speak, because that is one meeting out of those you would have in the year. Now, his longest consecutive absence without permission, that is more than the 15 consecutive sitting threshold, was 19 sittings from October 26th, 2021 to November the 25th, 2021. Within this meeting, Mr. Kennedy Ohene Ejapong has never been absent without or with permission. So he was also always absent without permission. That's for the Asin Central MP. Let's move to the Dome Kwabenya MP, Sarah Adjoa Safo. She was present on 2 occasions out of the 28 sittings, and she was absent with permission on 7 out of those occasions. So you add the 7 to the 2 and you get 9 sittings, and then absent without permission in 19 out of the 28 sittings. Her longest consecutive absence without permission in the period under review was 13 sittings from the 26th of October to the 16th of November. So those are some details for you. Maybe we'll do the final one. Henry Quartey, Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central. He was present in 5 out of the 28 sittings and was absent without permission on 23 occasions. Of course, 23 plus 5, giving you the 28. His longest consecutive absence without permission, that is more than the 15 consecutive sitting threshold, was 19 sittings from October the 26th, 2021 to November the 25th, 2021. And he was never absent with permission. Those are the details you're looking for.
I was not be talking about details about these 3 persons. Details about other members of parliament.
Other members of parliament
yes.
may be liable. Who may be liable?
It is important.
Evidence.
We don't have to create the impression that we are zeroing in on only these 3 honorable members.
Right.
Let us know the details regarding all the 275 members. For me, if we did that, then we will be doing ourselves a very good deed. Okay, so we can go further and look at the attendance from Roxy, my good self, and others. That's very important. And I mean, and as you said, there's nowhere in the standing orders or the Constitution that talks about consecutive sittings.
Yes. So no, I think that has been clarified. No consecutive sittings. But let me just do this lest I forget. I'll allow you to go ahead. I remember Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Sam George, and I noted it here, so I had to go back to it, saying that Lower West Akim lawmaker, just because you cite that there could be maybe other MPs who have fallen foul, Lower West Akim lawmaker Che Bafo was absent for a whole year in 2019. A whole year. That would be how many sittings? 4? How many meetings?
That would be 3 meetings.
3 meetings.
Yes.
Because each one is a quarter.
Yes.
Right. So 4 months thereabouts for each meeting, right?
3 months. That's about between 12 to 13 weeks.
Okay, so recess is also factored in.
Yes.
So 3 meetings and then the break is also factored in. So this is what Sam George said about Lower West Akim lawmaker Che Bafo. This was as far back as 2019. So if we're going to address this, do you think we should be...
And that's the 7th Parliament.
The 7th Parliament.
Yes,
should we be retrospective with this, or should we stick to the 8th Parliament?
You know, for me, there is an issue that has come up. So we need to deal with what is at hand now.
Right.
If you read the Constitution, Article 97, 1 says, a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament, given some criteria or scenarios.
So let's look at what pertains to this.
Upon a dissolution of parliament, if there's a military takeover, all of us go.
Dissolution means when the parliament comes to an end.
Sure. You're right. But if there's a military takeover to all of us go.
Now we don't. We talk of coup.
I mean, it is an aspect that will also bring clarity to parliament.
Naturally dissolve.
Yes. If he's elected as Speaker of Parliament or the C, if he's absent without the permission in writing of the Speaker and is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to the Parliamentary Committee on Privileges from 15 sittings of a meeting of Parliament during any period that Parliament has been summoned to meet and continues to meet. So, the fact that you've not officially informed Mr. Speaker of your absence doesn't automatically, get rid of you from Parliament. So that is why, reasonably, there is the Committee on Privileges.
Right.
There could be a genuine reason. So you have to go and make your case.
Is that to say, Dr. Nyako, if I understand you correctly, I'm a member of parliament. I have sent myself for, let's say, 16 times without, informing Mr. Speaker. And then I'm hauled before the Privileges Committee, and then I'm able to substantiate that maybe owing to circumstance A or B, I was unable to inform the Speaker of Parliament. Does it discount the fact that I've been absent for 16 occasions? Does it mean that there will be no punitive measures against me because maybe I made an effort to get to Mr. Speaker but couldn't? Is that
maybe there were circumstances beyond your control. For me, that is why the committee is there. That was why the Constitution didn't say that as soon as you go beyond 15, you should automatically be out of Parliament. There should be grounds for you, as lawyers will tell us, grounds for you to go and defend yourself.
Hold on, but very quickly, is that your understanding of this, portion of, that's the Constitution you're reading from, right? Okay. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes, it's a procedure, it's an inquiry.
Right.
It's like a trial, you must be tried.
Right. So the facts of the matter, everything must be brought to bear.
Exactly.
Okay. I just wanted that clarified.
Yeah, that is why, for instance, you could have gotten involved in an accident. And to the Speaker in writing, it's a very simple process. It's a form that we fill.
Right.
It's not that you write a love letter to the Speaker. It's just a form.
Right.
And it goes through a procedure for approval.
I'll come back to you for the procedure because it's crucial for me because of especially of the case of Sarah Adjasafo, and I'm sure you know why. So go ahead.
Earlier in the week, Speaker made a ruling. Is it a ruling or opinion on the floor?
Right.
And his point was that there's nowhere in our standing orders that talks about attendance register. He made that point. So he said that since Peter Alajate, the late Speaker, made that pronouncement, he has never signed the attendance register
He
before.
did make mention of that.
So in that instance, if you use the attendance register to judge his presence or absence from the house, you'll be misleading. Unless there are other means that can capture that in terms of videos and all that. Okay, so
do you agree with the Speaker as far as his interpretation of what Peter Alajate?
I have an issue. Yesterday,
what is your issue?
Yesterday, I raised this issue on the floor that we have to do away with ambiguities. We have to be clear on our minds. You cannot convince me that attendance register is not relevant. So how do we judge whether somebody was in the house or not?
Because again, you could be in the house, you could claim you were in the house, but maybe visually, no camera captured you or something of the sort, and then you are not in the register. What then shows that you were actually on the floor?
So I respectfully disagree with that position. That was why I made that position on the floor yesterday, that we need to come together in terms of consensus in the House. The best way forward. And I remember one of our colleagues on the other side said that one can be done via a substantive motion. Okay, and our leader, James Abonsu, said that we could use the clocking system to achieve that.
So I support. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
The biometric clocking system. Do you agree with that?
Of course, I agree. I agree with any system that will do away with ambiguity.
Okay.
I am somebody who has been pushing for discipline, punctuality. And I never go anywhere late.
Okay, all right.
I never even miss, when I was at the University of Ghana teaching, I never missed a class. I never went to class late.
Right.
And I've tried to bring this attitude to Parliament. I don't see why. We are human beings. One day you can be incapacitated. Something can happen to you.
Right.
Reasonably, if something prevents you from performing your legitimate responsibility, you'll be absolved. By a situation where people deliberately abuse the system, for me, I'm against that.
Is that what just briefly, before I let Roxanne walk us through the processes involved, is that how you feel about Sarah Adjasafo in her situation? Do you feel she has deliberately taken advantage of Parliament, the loopholes in there, and has absented herself? How do you feel about her particular situation?
I wouldn't go that tangent because I don't have the full facts. I wouldn't want to.
It appears no one has the full facts. It appears
Yeah,
all of you are.
So when she appears,
very unwilling to speak.
When she appears before the previous committee, we will then know the full facts. I don't want to jump the gun.
All right.
Regarding
thank you for making that point. If you're, and I don't know whether you found the
I have.
portion you wanted to read, but I wanted you to walk us through the process. So you want to absent yourself, or you realize that there is a need for you to be absent. Very quickly, in about a minute, what process do you go through to ensure that your absence is with permission?
Yes, you file a form called absent with permission form.
Okay.
Just like the way we
I think it is leave of absence.
Yeah, leave of absence form or absent with permission form. Just as the way we have question form, if you want to file a question directed at a minister of state. So you complete it, you give the reasons, and you state the number of days that you'll be absent. And then your leader of the caucus will endorse it, there's a portion. And then the clerk's office will forward it to speaker for approval. When that is done, and the number of days that you indicated that you'll be absent with leave of the speaker is exhausted, and you are unable to deal with the business for which you stayed away from the house, all you have to do is to put in another application.
Right.
And so as many times as you put in the application and it's granted by the speaker, you could stay away.
Because that also means that, let's say, you could put in the application, but it will not be granted by
exactly.
that. In which case, your absence will be committed.
No, in which case there will be a communication from the speaker that your application for leave, for absent with leave, has been denied.
Right. In which case, your absence, if you are absent,
if you continue
it will
to
be
stay away
without permission.
Exactly. And all these matters are communicated to the table office. That is why when you see the votes and proceedings, the green one, you see a number of MPs who are absent, but they will come with the narrative with permission.
Right.
And those that are absent were absent without permission.
Right. I also want to find out, does it have to go through a particular process before it gets through the speaker?
Yes.
What is that process?
The process, you pick the form from the table office, you complete it, you hand it over to the leader of your caucus, to your majority leader or the whip. There's a portion that they endorse.
So that could also be minority leader or minority whip.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then from there, it is forwarded back to the table office. They then will compile them at the end of every day, together with the number of questions forms that have been filled by members. Then they are forwarded to the clerk's office and further forwarded to the speaker's office for approval. So there are a lot of clerical works in this matter.
So I had to go there because in the instance of Sarah Adwasafo, I have heard the likes of Muntaka and others intimate that she followed this process, and of course she had to go through her leader, Seiche Mensah Bonsu.
Yes.
And for some reason, it did not end up with the speaker. And Sarah Adwasafo started finding out that she was being marked absent without permission. At which point, she realized, no, something is going on. So then she communicated directly to the speaker. That's why I was asking you for the processes. So you must go through your leadership.
Yes.
She then communicated directly to the speaker. But it baffles my mind. Why? I mean, because at the point where the majority leader or whoever takes receipt of this, does that person have the right not to forward it for the process to flow or disapprove it or anything of the sort?
You see, those are discretionary powers. And I'll explain. In our parliament, every member is by law supposed to belong to a caucus. Okay. So that is why we have the whip system. So you have recourse to your leadership. That is why some of these administrative processes are channeled through our leadership.
That's why even the independent candidate has to caucus with one side.
Thank you.
Right.
So for instance, if I want a statement to be made on the floor, like he does and I do, when you finish, you can't just rush to the speaker's secretariat for it to be admitted. You have to channel it through your whip or your leader for them to minute on it that they approve of the content of the statement for purposes of admissibility.
Right.
Okay. So if you have cause to believe that your leave of absence form has been unduly, inexplicably detained at the office of your leader, all right, you can, of course, as a member of parliament, you can have recourse to the speaker.
Which supposedly she did,
stating
stating clearly that
so the speaker,
I submitted to my leader, but apparently he's not giving it to you. So I'm reaching out to you.
So the speaker can override that and direct that, submit that to me directly.
Okay,
and I will take the issue.
Can that be retrospective? For example, I submitted to my leader that, let's say, from the start of February, I'll be absent till the end of March for some reasons. And my majority leader did not submitted. Now, when I reach out to Mr. Speaker, let's say mid-March, can it be retrospective? After I submitted from, I just need to...
I think that can be done if you can submit evidence. And the evidence is that when you file such forms, such processes, I do keep copies.
Right.
So, for instance, if I file a question, I'll quickly make a copy because sometimes they fall through the cracks.
Right.
Okay. So you quickly will provide your copy for that to be regularized. So if the former deputy majority leader is able to provide copies of those that she had channeled through the office of her leadership and yet didn't get to the desk of the speaker can look at it and make some favorable pronouncements in her favor. But let me touch on this matter.
Briefly,
he made a point regarding the interpretation of the speaker in terms of being present in the House. And I also have a problem with that interpretation. Because you see, pursuant to Article 11 of our Constitution, subclause 2, decisions of superior courts become part of our laws.
Right.
And that one, you can't, and decisions of courts are in rem. They are noticed to the whole world.
And just to clarify, it's not just the Supreme Court, the Apex Court. It also includes the Appellate Court and the High Court.
Exactly. So it's the Superior Court. That's what I mean. So
I just wanted to clarify what you're saying, because someone listening may think Superior means just the Supreme Court.
So it's actually judgment in rem. When they make declarative orders, everybody is bound by it. Now, when the Supreme Court makes pronouncements on attendance or presence in the chamber, and lays emphasis on you must be present and voting, that for me, your presence at a committee, your presence at other functions related to parliamentary work may not satisfy the requirement interpreted by. That's why, I recall I said here that the judiciary intruded in the powers of parliament. If you read the Constitution, a sitting of parliament includes committee sittings. Quickly, if I can do that. So it's a problem that you have to be present in the chamber in order to be marked as present. You understand me? So you see, sitting includes a period during which Parliament is sitting continuously without adjournment, and a period during which it is sitting in committee.
Right.
Okay. So, for instance, yesterday and Monday, the Public Accounts Committee, we've sat. So we have to be oscillating between the committee proceedings and proceedings on the floor, so that it can be accounted for. So, like he said, I also have a problem there. So it's an area that we need to clear.
So you have a problem with the speaker saying, for example, that you can come and not sign.
Speaker's interpretation is in consonance with the constitutional provision and the interpretation on sitting of parliament.
Right.
But the Supreme Court in this judgment, which is the on sitting of parliament.
Right.
But the Supreme Court in this judgment, which is the Abdullah judgment, is laying emphasis on present in the chamber, presence.
And this takes precedence, right? Now that the court has ruled on this, like you mentioned, it takes, and I'm intentionally doing this, it takes precedence. So it means that
it's of currency.
What the speaker is saying currently is not in consonance with what the court has declared.
What the court didn't do
because this immediately becomes binding on you.
I'm gathering this from the judgment. What the court didn't do specifically is to define what present in parliament means. But if you read the ruling at page 19, paragraph 3, for instance, in effect, the framers of the Constitution place voting in Parliament on a higher order of importance or magnitude than debating. That's why Parliament can commence business and proceed to debate a matter as long as at least 1/3 of its members are in attendance. It cannot proceed to take a decision on the matter by vote unless and unless and until at least one half of members are present.
Right.
You see, in one breath they say attendance, now they say present. But down there they use attendance again. The higher quorum threshold for voting, set at a minimum of half the membership of parliament, is designed to ensure that decisions of the House, which carry legal or legislative consequences, are not taken unless at least half of the members of parliament is in attendance. Now they've come back to attendance again. Okay. So
is there ambiguity?
Yes.
Where lies the ambiguity? Is it in what Parliament was practicing before, which
because if you use presence in Parliament, the interpretation is enlarged or clarified in the definition the Constitution itself places in sitting. What does it mean to be present at sitting of Parliament? When I'm participating in the Committee of Parliament at public accounts and interrogating the Auditor General's report, the Constitution says I'm present in Parliament. I'm participating in a sitting of Parliament. Okay, that means you are present in Parliament. But the judges are using present and in attendance in a manner interchangeably. But given the circumstances we find ourselves now, it's creating a problem.
Okay, all right. Let's.
He's a lawyer, so
I want you to quickly react to this bit, and also consider, just to wrap on this end of the conversation, also consider what Muntaka says about the fact that with Sarah Joseph, and I'm leaving out Henry Quarty and Kennedy Ejapong for a specific reason, because theirs is a straightforward matter. I think the Privileges Committee will deal with that. But when it comes to Sarah Joseph, he has intimated that for whatever reason, there are some problems with their children. We don't know whether it is health related or whatever. And that social welfare in the United States could take them, from her. And you know how the system is there. If she isn't there performing her duties as a mother, does that change the complexion of the conversation for you when it comes to Sarah Joseph, especially considering now that we know that she actually went through Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu and somehow it did not get to Mr. Speaker, and she had to file on her own.
Yeah, before I answer that question, the position of Roxanne regarding Supreme Court's ruling using attendance and also presence and all that.
Right.
I mean, the point is that if you read the constitutional provision, Article 104, it talks about present and voting.
Right.
They are linked. If you are in a committee meeting, you cannot vote. You cannot vote. So for me, that is why in the judgment of the Supreme Court, taking critical decisions in the House, okay, that relates to Article 104 of the Constitution and Order 1091, we are talking. The emphasis is on present and voting. If you're in a committee, you cannot vote. Okay, when we are taking that consideration. So we need to also, bring that one in perspective. And issue of Ajasafo, and you are making the point that this is what Muntaka is saying. I don't think that the majority leader will deliberately deny Sarah Ajasafo her rights of legitimately seeking absence from the House. Okay, so now this is what Muntaka is saying. When she appears before the committee, she will have to prove it, as Roxanne, my good friend, is saying. We don't have to veer into the arena of speculation and all that. Okay, so I don't think that. 2 weeks ago, I wanted leave of absence. I went to my majority whip, another prayer. He told me he won't let me go. And I had to convince him that I'll be back on the day he wanted me to come. Okay, before he yielded. So, discretionally, the leadership can tell you, because of ABC reason or ABC reasons, we wouldn't let you go. Okay, that doesn't mean that maybe they have an issue with you or not. But on this particular information from Muntaka, I want to put on record that we need to get the full facts at the hearing. Otherwise, these speculations don't help You know how, because it is coming from Muntaka. You've not even heard from the majority leader whether what is being alleged by Muntaka, is right. You know what I mean? So we need to be careful about that. You also raise an issue regarding...
Quickly on that point, very quickly.
Yeah, that some people are saying that a referral to the previous committee is not necessary. Okay? And yesterday, our leader, James Abonsu, raised the issue. He quoted...
I didn't quite get that. Who said what was not necessary?
No, referring the matter to the privileges committee. Some are against that. There are some people who are against that. And Chairman Sabons yesterday quoted Article 106(13). That says, where it is determined by a committee of Parliament appointed for the purpose that the particular bill is of an urgent nature, the provisions of the preceding clauses of this article, other than Clause 1 and Paragraph A of Clause 2, shall not apply. And accordingly, the President shall give his assent to the bill on his presentation for assent. It was about the work of the committee being brought to the plenary for deliberation, for debate, and voting. So there is an article that they are also quoting that when the committee's work is done, there's no need for deliberations in the House.
Right.
And that is a contention. And yesterday, the Speaker himself did admit that he's making a proposal. So, and we are working in uncharted territory. So we need to find a way of dealing with some of these contentious issues.
Which are somewhat gray areas.
Gray areas. Yeah, that's a most appropriate word. And again, yesterday I liked the attitude of Muntaka,
the minority chief whip.
Yes, apart from when the Speaker asked him to sit down, and he didn't want to sit down. That was the.
Do you feel that was wrong?
Yeah, for me, respectfully.
Because he was making the point that we listened to you, Mr. Speaker,
yeah,
and you will ultimately decide, but
yeah, I know.
I also have the right to speak.
Yeah, for me, I was thinking that when the Speaker asked him to sit, he was making I support his position, but when the Speaker said that he should sit down, for me, he should have respectfully sat down. That doesn't mean that he couldn't rise to because sit down, maybe the Speaker wanted to say something. You listen, then you rise again to continue with the point. And he raised, a very important point. If you look at our standing orders,
have to be very brief on this.
Yeah, I will brief. There's Order 76. 1 says that every application to Parliament shall be in the form of a petition, and every petition must be presented by a member who shall be responsible for the observance of the rules contained in Appendix A. To these orders, I wouldn't even go for that. The most important point is that, according to Muntaka, petitions of this nature must emanate from a member of the House. And Speaker is not a member of the House. So, Speaker referring our colleagues to the committee, he felt that it was
problematic.
Wrong. Yeah, it was wrong. So, I think, for me, I like a spirit. Muntaka is one of those in the House who understand our standing orders and also the Constitution. I do off my heart for him because for me, if somebody is good, you need to make that point. He's very solid when it comes to this. And I was not surprised that he was able to, when you know something, you are very confident. Okay? And I saw that in him yesterday. At times I disagree with him, but when it comes to our two
standing orders,
holy books, the standing orders and the Constitution,
so point made. I want us. We can't keep going on this. But
He said very important things.
Okay. So let me do this. Hold on. Let me do this. I want us to move on to talk about the majority leader's incident or his criticism of former President Mahama. I'll let you do what you're about to do in just about a minute, if you can. Just give whatever detail.
It said a lot of things. Look, I disagree with the Honourable Minority Whip on his opposition to the Speaker's directives. Because you see, if you go to Order 53.1, we have order of business.
Let's go for the meat of the matter. I don't want us to go too much.
It thinks that Speaker hasn't got the power to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee using the statement by the Speaker. But it's part of the procedure.
Point to me where
that is visited on Order 76.
Where a member must make the move.
The Speaker is not saying that he's making this referral because he received a petition.
Right.
Speaker came by what we call formal communication by the Speaker, which is under Order 53(1) sub E.
The referral.
Right. You understand?
The referral is not captured under that.
Please, the Speaker has the power to make referral. And let me refer you to the order.
Petitions.
If we go to Order 164.
164.
Okay, 164, which is on privileges, the Committee on Privileges. It says, there shall be a committee of privileges, which shall consist of the first deputy speaker as chairman and not more than 30 other members. Yeah. It shall be the duty of the committee by order of the House to inquire into any complaint of contempt of parliament or breach of privilege or any matter of privilege which may be referred to it, and to recommend to the House such action as the committee may consider appropriate. Speaker is saying, by his formal communication to the House, a breach of privilege has occurred.
Right.
So Speaker is sound in approach.
All right. So point made.
It is here. Speaker is sound in approach.
Are you contesting that? But let me get this. Yeah. It appears there's some disparity. Are you saying that in your standing orders, what you see is different from what you're saying?
The Speaker has the power to make that referral.
I am saying that the Order 76 of our standing orders is not the only way a matter can be referred to any committee of parliament by way of petition.
So you sort this matter will be sorted out. This matter will be sorted out.
But the Speaker
in Parliament, in the House of Parliament,
where does it mandate the Speaker to make that referral?
I am not saying mandate the Speaker. I am saying the referral can be made by the Speaker.
So the interpretation of it is now. I mean, the interpretation of your standing orders, and I feel maybe it is high time, as some have said. You've had processes in the past
in fact, the new one is ready.
Second looks at your standing orders. I feel that would be.
It is being revised
in the right direction, because it appears there are too many of these issues coming up. But let's quickly talk about the issue to do with the majority leader, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, member of Parliament for Swami, saying, well, former President Mahama, and I'll start with you, former President Mahama has been noticeably, conspicuously absent from major events at which the keynote speaker is President Akufo-Addo. He cites, for example, 2013, post the election petition, the first one we've had in this republic, where Akufo-Addo was not present as Mr. President gave the SONA. And he said that was because at the time, the presidency of Mahama was being challenged. He says again in 2014, Akufo-Addo was out of town, but subsequently came. In fact, he says in 2013, the minority caucus was not there, but in 2014, the minority, that is the MPP, was there in the absence of Akufo-Addo. But he says there have been 7 key occasions, including the last SONA delivered by President Akufo-Addo on March 30, where former President Mahama was simply absent. The question is why?
I'm struggling to appreciate the perspective that the majority leader wants to bring into this matter. Is it his evidence that when the president delivered SONA last week or sometime last 2 weeks, the former president was in town? Is that his evidence?
Do you have evidence to the contrary?
I don't see the relevance at all.
You think it's irrelevant, what he's saying?
Yes.
It's irrelevant?
Very, very relevant. Because this was a man, when he was in power, he invited you even to economic forum, you will not attend. You see, that is why I keep telling people that you must be careful when you are chewing the fingers of a monkey. Because tomorrow, for all you know, that was your sister's fingers you were chewing. When they were doing all manner of things to His Excellency the President when he was in power, and they will not participate if the economy is broke, fix it. You don't need help. Today they are calling for help. They are going to him in the house. They are doing all manner of things.
Who is going to him in the house?
Why? Didn't you hear that the government sent an emissary to him in the house?
Are you referring to Gabi?
Of course.
Right.
Who told the government sent him?
Sorry?
Who told the government sent him?
Who told me that government sent him?
Government sent Gabi to go and meet
Why?
the
So
president.
why did Gabi go there? To go and do what?
Gabi and Mahama, are they not friends?
Who told you that they are friends?
But what they purportedly discussed was that.
But who told you that they are friends?
I mean, the e-levy and stuff like that.
Don't attack everything. I am saying that the honorable majority leader is raising a storm in a teacup. It is no issue. It is a non-issue, and the former president has been attending a lot of programs. If he's unavoidably absent, that is fine. I've been in parliament since 2017. I can show you photographs where the president came to parliament, the former president was there. Does President Kufuor attend every function that the president holds? But back to back on 7 occasions. I mean, it cannot be. It cannot be. It should give me the occasions. It cannot be. You cannot just throw out numbers and say that on those 7 different occasions, the former president was. Is he backing it with evidence that on those occasions the former president was present?
So are you calling for evidence?
Exactly.
For these
are matters. When you raise it, then we have to interrogate them. Otherwise, then you are just engaging in propaganda.
Do you think the majority leader is engaging in propaganda?
Of course,
he's engaging.
Of course, because I don't see former President Kufuor at every official function by the.
But I think there are considerations. There's the age consideration, for example. I mean, you've seen. I mean, not to denigrate his person, but you know that looking at
he's raising this matters as a matter of state protocol. No. He's raising these matters as a matter of state protocol. What about if President GM says that he's not well? What about if he says he's not well, so he was unable to attend? But he's raising these matters as a matter of state protocol. That as a former president, it behoves on you to be present at some of the state functions. And I'm saying, the former president, His Excellency John Ajay Kufuor, does he attend every function organized by the president, head of state? No. So this is pure propaganda to create another public disfavor for the ex-president. But it won't wash.
Right.
It won't wash.
Some people say this is mere.
It's a journey to nowhere.
This is mere convention, and we've seen it. There are times when some presidents have been sworn in, and other former presidents and others have not.
No, but let the record reflect that as much as possible. JM attends official
or the opposition leaders had not been there. So why this bit? How relevant is it? Roxanne is questioning the relevance of this, and he says it is propaganda. What do you think?
Our general secretary was in parliament. Is that not sufficient?
In the spirit of oneness, I mean, you are opposition today, you might be in government tomorrow. And for me, I think that, and I agree largely with the majority leader, because I have not been seeing former President Mahama in most of government organized programs. For me,
most of them. Can you cite 1 or 2 for me that where you've not seen him, where you felt he should have been there? Apart from the SONA, because that is the latest one that has come up. But apart from the
SONA, I've not seen him. 6 March also.
Independence Day celebrations.
Yes, I've not seen.
The one in Tamale.
Not only that
or the
one,
Cape Coast.
Not only that one. For me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm saying that he has been conspicuously missing. I mean, in some of these events, and I think that in the spirit of oneness, togetherness, I mean, he can do better. Okay, so, and he has to...
But you see, let's do this, Dr. Nyako. Roxanne is calling for evidence. I'm asking you, which specific ones?
And I've mentioned to you...
Which one?
I just told you about Independence Day.
Can you clarify which one? Is it the last one?
The last one was
Cape
at
Coast.
Cape Coast.
That was at the Cape Coast Stadium.
I didn't see him there. Was he there?
Okay.
The one that was done before COVID in Kumasi, I didn't see him there. Okay, the SONA, this is my second SONA witness in Parliament. I've not seen him there. And prior to that, the 7th Parliament, I have not seen him there. I might be wrong. I mean, but I'm talking about what I have seen and what I've not seen. But, I mean, I think that President Mahama, since losing the election, he's not happy, he's paying.
Is that not a normal reaction? President Akufo-Addo, when he lost the election petition, when he was he not paid?
When he lost the petition, he graciously.
When he lost in 2008, was he not pained? When he lost in 2012, was he not pained until he won?
After the petition hearing, he held a press conference and conceded and congratulated former President Mahama. He did that.
Right.
But when President Mahama lost, the recent one, after the Supreme Court hearings, he has since that time not come out openly to make concession and even to congratulate Nana Akufo-Addo. And that is wrong.
There was talk recently about his comments in recent times captured by the Daily Guide, which suggests that he had conceded.
You are shifting the argument from president.
No, I'll bring him back.
You brought in J. Kufo. Didn't you bring in J. Kufo?
I feel a concession. I feel that is a different tangent you're going on. But
I brought in President for purposes of being president.
What I'm saying that
concession statement.
President Mahama,
President Mahama 2030
must be a statesman. He must prove to Ghanaians that he loved Ghanaians more than being a president. His behavior for me.
So if he's not being a statesman, what is he being like?
I mean, this pettiness, you wouldn't want to have anything doing with Chief Sabos told us that when he was the president, and now Akufo-Addo at some points attended SONA and other functions organized by him. He needs to reciprocate this. We are building a democracy.
Are you saying former President Mahama has never attended a SONA organized by your side? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that.
Because that would not be correct.
That's what I'm saying. You can correct me. You know what I mean? I'm saying that you can correct me when I'm wrong. But I'm saying that since I've been in Parliament, I've never seen him there. In the 7 parliaments, he might, I don't know, but I'm saying that what I know is that I've not seen him in most, I didn't say all, I choose my words carefully. Most of government organized programs, and that doesn't augur well for a country that is building upon our democratic credentials. And I'll plead with him in all humility that we need to come together to build this country. One day he might, okay, and he will expect others to accord him some of these courtesies, you know what I mean? But I want to still re-echo the point that it appears to me that losing the presidency is something that is eating him up. And he has to overcome that and understand that you can never be at a certain position for a long time. In this life, certain things happen for a reason. At times, you lose something for something better. And that's very important. And that's what former President Mahama must understand. So we are expecting him next year, if we are alive, the next year's sooner, he should be there. And we will all accord him the dignity that he deserves as a former president of this country.
Quick reaction.
You sit here, you talk ill about the man, and you talk of dignity.
Ill.
Please.
Hot ill.
You have no evidence.
Ben,
you are just on a propaganda speech.
Ben, correct him. What ill did I say about him?
Please, there have been a lot.
He will go out there
I guess he'll elaborate on what ill things.
Yes, talk about.
There will be a lot of state funerals. State funerals even this year. I've seen the former president at 3 state funerals organized at the.
Talking about SONA, you are going to funeral.
What is SONA? Are we not talking about state functions? Didn't your leader mention state functions? Is SONA the only state functions we have? Dr. Nyaku, is state of the nation the only state function we have?
Works in the Esquire. Go ahead.
What are you saying?
Go ahead.
I have seen him attend. I have seen him appear together with majority leader people sitting on their dates. Is that not a state function? What exactly do they want from President Mahama? MPP, what exactly do you want from him?
You want him to be a statesman?
The man is a statesman of the highest level, if you care to know. If you don't see the man, you are worried. When you see him, you are worried. What exactly do you want from President Mahama? He's coming. Get prepared. He's taking over.
Coming to where?
He's taking over. So
coming to Bollywood boy or where?
Agbe, this is an argument to nowhere. President Mahama has been available. He's been attending state functions if it's necessary. So let this propaganda die in this studio that he doesn't attend state functions. He does.
Next year, so now he should be there. We expect.
If it's available, he will attend. If it's not available, go sooner that you will defer for so many months before you come and
he has to be available.
He doesn't have your time. If you can't come in February, he doesn't have your time in March.
You should make himself available in next year.
You don't even get ready to deliver, to perform matters of state protocol. You are not available.
Look at him. Nice man, look at him.
Yes.
Make himself available.
So show some respect.
Oh, I mean, I respect more the time.
Agbe, this is... But
can we say that former President Mahama, I mean, on the back of some of what has been said, should also make an attempt to be at some of these...
Agbeko, the man is available at 10 state functions.
He said, Akapo, you are still saying Agbeko.
Akapo. I have a friend who looks like it's Agbeko, so pardon me. Akapo, the man is available. He attends state functions. I am shocked that we are spending this time to discuss this matter. Because you know why? For the exact reason that they want to do propaganda. That's why he started that he's not a statesman. He's in pain for losing.
To be fair, he didn't say he wasn't a statesman. He said that he should act like a statesman.
Yes, it means the man is not like acting like a statesman. That's what it means.
It doesn't take away from the fact that he is. He's saying that in some of these instances, because of his actions, he is not acting
if somebody
like
says,
we can say you are an MP, but you can do certain things and people will say you're not acting like an MP. Doesn't mean you're not an MP.
Somebody say act like a journalist. It means that you are not acting like a journalist.
It doesn't mean I am not a journalist. Maybe in that instance, the person feels I am not.
Akapu, the point I'm making is that this is a propaganda complaint. It's a complaint that is to turn propaganda against the image and pedigree of the former president. He's available. He attends funerals. Ever often, he's in my region attending state functions. Ever often, I see him in Accra attending state functions.
What was the last state function you saw him at?
I think that should be...
we'll check.
Yes, a function organized by...
you see how you are struggling?
State protocol, no. I think it's a funeral.
You are struggling.
It's either the Honorable Kofi Adda's funeral or so. And that's a state funeral.
Right.
That's a state funeral. So this is de minimis. This is an inconsequential matter. That should engage a government that is really under economic burden. Instead of talking economics, we are here talking about attendance at state functions. See how you are bereft of ideas.
But
talk economics and stop talking about
tomorrow we'll hear from the vice president.
The man who is not talking sports.
The top place for
talking economics. That's what we've been told.
What he's doing.
The top place for determined by you.
If the vice president is receiving players, what should the minister for sports do?
They went to visit him.
Visit
what is wrong about that?
Didn't they visit the president recently?
No.
He has no business. The vice president,
the black princess.
What the vice president is doing?
What is wrong about that?
The function of
the motivation involved. The motivation involved for them. What is wrong about that?
Minister of sports.
Are you saying
you shock me?
The vice president
Roxanne
has lost direction?
He's lost direction completely. You go and meet players that you are talking about.
What is wrong about that?
Fremont of Paris as being the first chief of staff. What has that got to do with encouraging players to work?
Your debate today for me is
which debate? You haven't debated
so you are saying
the vice president has lost focus.
You are saying that a
you
team
talk economics and stop
the female team cannot visit the vice president for inspiration, for encouragement, for motivation.
For which inspiration?
It is an honor to see.
Which inspiration?
What are you talking about?
You sitting here, what inspiration does Baumia give you?
Baumia gives inspiration about the economy. Listen, he gives inspiration about the economy.
I am saying it is the sports minister's job. It is the sports minister.
When JM was at the helm, he was visited by the Black Stars and other football teams. Even the president.
That is JM.
What are you talking about? What is wrong about that?
If they visit the president, I agree. He developing. He should stop
the presence of the Black princess.
That's my point.
At the Jubilee House, and that is worrying.
All right.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Let's cease fire. We shall have more opportunity in the coming days.
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
Don't do that.
These matters.
You are just vying towards.
CD is 9 CDs. You won't talk. We are telling blaster players.
The topics then.
$2.
The topics were determined by you. When we came here, you brought the topics. Did you tell us to talk about the economy? Last week, we did the comment because you gave the topics. We don't determine what to say.
What is your problem?
Yeah, but what you are saying is just tangential and needless.
It's not tangential. I am saying as the vice president, he's the head of the economic management team.
We know that.
He should stop performing the functions of a minister of state.
Oh,
Maybe a deputy minister can do what vice president did.
Right.
So,
thank you very much.
Lost focus. And then
Member of Parliament for Kwada, Dr. Kingsley Nyako joining us together with the Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson, Dafia Mekpo. Well, moving on from here, this morning on AM Business, we follow the story of a female carpenter defying the odds of gender disparity to compete fiercely with her male counterparts in the carpentry business. James Eshan visits Rejoice Buama, a young and ambitious apprentice who aims to establish her own carpentry enterprise to employ other females who may be marginalized in this field. It's courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.